mothers of teenage boys felt like. They had to wait for a break in the traffic, and as soon as it was clear, Angie yelled, "Push!" It took every ounce of strength Mel possessed to help get the van in motion, and she was pretty sure the only thing more painful would be trying to push out a baby. The van was like a great beached whale being encouraged back into the ocean. They were covered in sweat before they'd gone 10 feet. The sun beat down on their backs, and Mel could feel her short blonde hair become soaked and matted to her head as she pushed. Angie had the van in neutral and managed to crank the steering wheel in a sharp U-turn. They crossed 2 lanes of oncoming traffic, and Angie hit the brakes as they slowed beneath the highway underpass, bringing them to a stop in the shade. Mel, Oz, and Marty slumped against the back of the former ice cream truck in relief. Angie popped out of the driver's side door and took a look at the 3 of them. "Everyone okay?" she asked. The collective huffing and puffing kept them from answering, but since no one was supine on the curb, Angie seemed satisfied. A large cream-colored Cadillac Escalade pulled up and parked behind them. The driver's side door popped open, and out stepped an older gentleman wearing a white straw cowboy hat. Mel suddenly felt like she was in an old Western movie, and the good guy was coming to the rescue. "Don't say it's a fine morning or I'll shoot you," Angie whispered in a low drawl. "John Wayne and McClintock," Mel whispered back. They exchanged heat-weary high-fives. "You folks look like you could use a hand," the man in the hat said. Mel would have hugged him, but given that she was beginning to offend herself with the amount of sweat pouring off of her, she refrained. "We sure could," Marty said as he wiped his hand on the side of his leg and held it out to the stranger. "Marty Zelaznik." "Slim Hazard, at your service," he said as he clasped Marty's hand in return. He was tall, and it wasn't just the cowboy boots that he wore that made him so. He was wearing a cotton Western-style shirt with an embroidered yoke and jeans that sported a belt buckle as big as Mel's head. "This is Melanie, Angie, and young Oz," Marty said as he gestured at the rest of them. Mel wasn't positive, but she thought she heard a note of admiration in Marty's voice. She knew it wasn't for them, so he had to be impressed by the cowboy in front of them. His next words confirmed it. "You wouldn't be Slim Hazard from Juniper Pass, would you?" Slim pushed his hat back on his head and put his hand on the back of his neck, as if he were embarrassed that Marty had heard of him. "Yep, I'm afraid that's me," he said. "Here, son, let me have a look." Slim ambled over to where Oz crouched, looking under the van to assess the damage from below. "Wow, it's really him." Marty looked gobsmacked. He glanced at Mel and Angie to see if they were as impressed as he was. When they both shrugged, he frowned. "You two are lacking in your rodeo lore." "Clearly." Angie wiped the sweat off of her forehead with her forearm. "So, who is the Bronco Buster?" "Only one of the greatest cowboys who ever lived," Marty said. "His family hosts the Juniper Pass rodeo every year." At Mel's and Angie's blank looks, he gave a tisk of disgust. "It's the biggest rodeo in the country." Mel shrugged. Marty looked as if he'd continue, but just then Slim and Oz joined them. "Now, don't you worry," Slim was saying to Oz. "I've seen worse than this. Why, with a little elbow grease, you'll have her up and running in no time." He gave Oz a solid pat on the back and looked at the group as if seeking backup. "Yeah, absolutely, good as new," Mel said, and Slim smiled at her. Oz still looked ill at ease, but less like he was going to throw up. She was pretty sure he heard him mutter some soothing words to the defunct truck. Poor kid. It was a rough break getting wheels, only to lose them on the very first day. "Can I offer you folks a lift?" Slim asked. "It's a mite too hot to be standing out in this heat waiting for a tow truck." "We would love one," Angie answered for them all. Without waiting for assistance,